I had to. I had to
Okay, I think
go.
we're. You had to what?
Uh, I had to go put my house shoes on.
Oh, okay.
I've been home for about 45 minutes. And I took my shoes off just now. I try not to wear tennis shoes in the house, but I have house shoes I wear.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah, my feet get cold on
just
this
no particular
concrete.
reason.
What'd you get in the mail today?
Well, I don't. I got. We have hardwood floors, and if I wear socks, they're too slick.
Yeah.
So
All of a
yeah.
sudden you're
So
doing
I have. You know, I bought these. I think they're yoga socks, and they're kind of thick, but they have rubber on the bottom of them, so you can't wear them with shoes. They're too grippy.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so I got something in the mail today.
Let's
I don't know if
see it.
y'all can see this, and I'm gonna open this. I haven't opened it because I usually when I get home. Oh, let me cover that. This address to Michelle's work. I get my packages sent to my wife's work.
Too
Uh,
late. After they're done with Rittenhouse, they're coming for you.
do what? Oh,
I said, after they're done with Rittenhouse, they're coming for you.
for me? Oh, because I got
Yeah,
I.
you doxed yourself. Yeah.
Oh, did the address show up?
I don't know. I wasn't paying attention, but I was aware of what would be bugging you about it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was like, oh, Michelle's office. No big deal. Okay, so this is in a second bag or second box, which I'd heard this was packed very well. You'll have to tell me. This is. You see what this is?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's Michael Allred's Mad Men. I remember when that was just getting off the ground, meeting him at a Dallas con. Not for very long. I was just kind of like around.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Anyway, I back in the '90s, I was a huge fan of Madman. I thought it, and I didn't really read that many indie comics at all. I didn't care for, and I still really don't. I mean, to me, I like more like superhero kind of comics. And Madman is really not, even though he's wearing a costume, he's not really a superhero comic. It's kind of a, I don't know. Anyway, I got this online, and it was like less than half cover price, and so I bought it. And I have the trades, but there's some stuff in here. I think this probably covers all the trades I have. I think I got 2 or 3 trades. But I remember back when I worked in the art department, Madman was that was the comic that when everyone talked to me about, oh, not really liking comics or whatever, I would point them towards Madman. I'm not going to flip through this too much, but this is oversized. I don't know if you can tell that it's like 9 by 14. I need to go through and break the spine, but
Oh yeah, it's nice in a what do you call it? It's that clean line kind of
oh yeah,
thinking, but at the same time, it's very informed on anatomy and stuff. It just doesn't make a big deal of over rendering the anatomy.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's its own look, that's for sure. It's one of those. I would consider this, and I'm not. I'll be honest. I'm not the hugest fan of Mike Allred's art specifically. I mean, I don't hate it, obviously, but I would. So this has got some stuff that I've never seen before. Some of his early stuff. You know,
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's kind of a little bit rougher than some of his later stuff. Now, I'm not sure. Someone would have to explain this to me why they did this at the bottom. To me, if you're going to do that, you can cut the book. But I don't know. Maybe it's how it worked with the comic pages. Anyway, I thought Madman was pretty cool. cool back in the 90s. And so I picked this up. I think I haven't read this. Oh, it's pinned up by Dave Cooper.
It's got a lot of little extras, people that did guest art or something.
Yeah, there's a Jim Lee drawing. They came out with a set of Madman cards back in the day. Oh, this is They, which was something that he did with his brother early on. I was reading an interview with him, and it was talking about some of the stuff I've seen, some of it I haven't. There's going to be a volume 2. I don't know if I get volume 1 read, I'll get volume 2. Anyway, he did Big Guy and Rusty the Boy Robot. I think the first appearance of Big Guy was in this before that came out.
Oh, that was by Michael Allred? I thought that was by
it was a
Jeff
guest
Darrow.
It is. It was a guest appearance.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, I got that in. I thought it was cool. Like I said, I didn't know if you were a Madman fan, so I thought I'd share it with you. It's big. It's a big book. It will not be something I take to work and read at lunchtime.
Like I say, it's got that history that when you talk about me and my early flirtation with thinking I was going to be in comics, we're talking about after going into not quite, well ahead of the 90s, more like 85 when I ran into him at that con. So, that he's been chunking it out for a while.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Okay, hang on just a second. I'm going to put this to the side, which means I'll have to take it out of this room.
Sure. See what I can do here. I'm trying to figure out how to do things I can just instantly do in Photoshop. I'm trying to just go back to square one on doing colors in this and just trying to desaturate it.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay.
Anyway, I thought that was pretty cool. So
that is cool.
So I wanted to share it with you.
I haven't had anything recently arrive. Matter of fact, I'm waiting for some pajama bottoms that I ordered almost 2 weeks ago. That arrived with a note that, hey, if you want to cancel these, okay, but they aren't going to be showing up for another week. It's like, okay, I'm not going to cancel them, but
I still need them.
Yeah, I still want them.
It's too cold to sleep in my skivvies.
Well, that was easy. I found it.
Anyway, so I'm working on. I've got about an hour into this page, maybe an hour and a half so far.
I really dig the, and if I had a note, not a note, but a observation to make, you keep it very sane on the perspective grids, to where you're unlikely to be bothered by distortion because you're just a step above isometric on a lot of how you lay out your grids. So you're not going to be distorting anything.
I'm trying to figure out if that's a compliment.
Well, no, it is. That's the way Kirby does it. Your eye is almost seeing isometrically. It sees things recede, but it doesn't see, your head is not a wide angle lens.
Right. Oh, yeah. I don't, probably,
and you're never doing that. What is a common mistake is to get your vanishing points a little too close together and try to cram all that stuff in like that.
Oh, no. Yeah, no. You don't want to do that. Yeah, no, that would be a mistake.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah, I what's funny is, like, when I see it, sometimes it's more of a wide angle lens, then I end up drawing it, which is a little frustrating, because you always. I mean, when like in my thumbnails, I always feel like it should be more of a wide angle, and I thumbnail it as a wide angle sometimes, and then when I get down to it, it's like, oh, it's like I can't get it, It
Well,
ends up being
it's probably good. You're getting a check. You're thinking you were going to be doing something wide angle, and then when you get your regular sane vanishing points down, it shows you what will fit.
yeah. Well, and I draw a lot from observation, and that will help you not get too out of whack with some of this stuff. If you,
Mhm.
I mean, I wouldn't say like oh, I know what looks correct or whatever, but I think I've drawn enough buildings and stuff from observation that maybe I don't catch it in the thumbnails, but when I start to pencil, it's like, this doesn't look quite right, or I know
Mhm.
catch it in the grid. It's like, okay, this is what it looks like, or what it needs to look like.
What's tough is to be an alleged teacher and have some student ask you some question about perspective, and you think you're going to put him right on it, and then you realize you can't solve it yourself. It's like, I need to go back to school
Oh, yeah.
myself.
Well, I mean, perspective isn't always easy. I like the rule: if it looks right, it is right.
Yeah, no, that's the way to do it. As a matter of fact, you ought to. I see this with this Nikolai Lockertson. He does this a lot, where he will just start drawing roughly because he has that eye that tells him when something is close to correct. So he'll do a whole bunch of rough sketching, and then he'll lay out the grid that's kind of close to that, and then just distort his rough drawing to match that grid, which is a great
that's a
great shortcut to getting there. Here's an idea for you. See if this stimulates your ideas of how a story might go. Imagine, you're dealing with a mad doctor, and I'm thinking of the movie Manster for all the B movie fans out there that might know what I'm talking about a mad doctor that would do this evil a thing. He would give you a Mickey, and so he could poison your system, so then he could observe you as you changed with his evil formula. I think this has been done, 3 or 4 times with mad scientists, where they've basically polluted somebody and then waited for the results. And so now think about this, where
you described Helena.
What's that? What did you just say, Scott?
I said you described Helena, not really. I said you've described boxing Helena.
Oh, is it? Really, but is it boxing Helena? Yeah, that's a mad scientist. So here's the idea I came up with.
It's the doctor.
So here's the idea. The mad scientist is planning on doing this pollution to the innocent by doing the classic, here, let's drink up, and then having his solution in the other guy's drink. Well, the other guy, the doctor is distracted for just a second. The other guy, for whatever reason, innocently switches the drinks. The mad scientist comes back and pollutes himself without knowing it, but only the audience knows. And so they're watching 2 people who don't know that something's about to happen. And I thought, that's a pretty cool device for keeping somebody interested in how it's going to turn out, as the mad scientist slowly realizes, I've been polluted, So I gotta, so that's
Have
a
you read
story idea.
Hitchcock Truffaut?
What's that? Read what?
Have you read Hitchcock Truffaut, where Francois Truffaut, or however you say his name, interviews Alfred Hitchcock?
Uh-huh. No, I haven't watched that entire interview. I think I've seen fragments of it.
Well, it's a book.
Oh, it's a book. Okay.
I mean, it may be. Anyway, in there, Alfred Hitchcock talks about the idea is if you're telling a story, what you want to do is you want to show something like, for the example he used, and maybe from one of his movies, I don't know. There's dynamite. Let the audience see there's dynamite under a table,
Mm-hmm.
and the fuse is ticking, or the it's break off, and so then the audience, you can do all these things around it, but the audience remains fixated on that dynamite getting ready to blow up.
Yeah.
That is kind of what you're doing, which is it's the idea, and I don't know what he called it or whatever, but the idea is they're concerned about the reaction,
Mm-hmm.
or in your case, this poisoning,
Mm-hmm.
than they would be, it's like, well, it's going to happen here.
Yeah. So it keeps them on tap. It makes them want to see how it works out. Speaking of movies
okay.
Have you heard about this movie, Midnight Mass? Now, this is on Netflix, and you don't get Netflix, right?
Yep. No Netflix for me.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. And people have reasons for not wanting Netflix. I know. Cuties and all that.
Because I
What's that?
I want to get stuff done.
Yeah. That's
watching
another
movies
that's
all
another
the time.
good reason.
I'm not retired.
Yeah. I'm retired. Yeah. Here's the retired example. Red Letter Media had on a glowing review of something called Midnight Mass on Netflix. So I stopped it before it got too deep into it, and I said, "Well, I'll just go ahead and watch it before I watch the rest of this review." Planning on watching the rest of the review in a couple of days after I'd seen it. It's a mini series. It's only seven long.
Yeah.
Well, I spent the day watching that thing, and then I took all of them in, and it's a pretty good show. Yeah, you talk about your binge watching, but being motivated by that.
So last Friday. So last Friday, Michelle and I went to our minister and his wife invited us over to their house for supper.
Uh-huh.
And so we went over there, and in the course of the evening, I don't know what we were talking about, but I told him, "Oh yeah, I got this good friend," and I said he's got this routine. I said he's retired, and he's got this routine he does every day. And I said so he'll wake up and he'll go to the park and he'll walk a couple miles. He'll come home, and he's got like a room of his house outfitted like a miniature gym and work out. I said then he'll get done. And I said, like, if he's painting, like he's been oil painting, so he'll paint for a little while. And he might knock off for lunch. He'll watch a movie or read a book. Then he might work a little bit more in the evening, on his painting or whatever. He might read. Then he go to bed. Then he gets up, does the whole thing the next day. And then, they didn't say this, but I felt like they were horrified that anyone would want to spend their time that way. And I'm thinking, this is the greatest thing ever. I can't wait till I can do that. And it's funny because everyone that I've talked to that I would consider like creative is like, yeah, that's how I want to spend my retirement. And people in art are like aghast that could be how you spend a day.
People in what?
But I'm on your side, Ellis.
People in what
are shocked that someone would spend. What?
People in what? What you maybe were listing a profession or something. People in what would be.
people that are not creative
Okay. Yeah.
have been aghast at that you that that someone would want to spend their day painting or watching a movie or whatever. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do at retirement, but I'm on your side, Ellis.
What do people imagine a person
I'm ready,
does without much money? I mean, what do they imagine you would get in gear to go out and do?
I have no idea. I don't know what. I mean, these people are
the idea of I might never go to the library if I had mad money. I might order every book I want to read from Amazon and then just give it to the library when I was done with it.
Well, I think it's not that. I think it's just the idea that you're painting, you're spending your time painting and
it's a fairly marvelous thing to imagine that someone thinks that that's anything that I guess. I mean, the biggest thing I should be doing is learning. Guy should say, I've got a note to myself of like, make a list of all of your computer blanks. Figure out everything you don't know about the world of the internet and all that. Make sure that if there's something that's keeping you from making money because of ignorance, take care of that ignorance, and I should be constantly learning. That would be the easiest thing I should be doing.
Well,
and
I think people constantly learn,
because learning, I mean, that's like, when people, there's absolutely no reason to pay somebody for schooling if you can home instruct yourself on anything, And of course, and I'm beyond it anyway on feeling like I'd fit in any sort of school situation. Yeah, I like it. So I'm glad I went.
I am young.
So my topics are Robert E. Howard, novel and Price Ellis's One Who Walked Alone, which I found myself, I'd read 100 pages of it, and then all of a sudden I was getting notices that I had two days left before I had to return this interlibrary loan. And so I did have you ever tried speed reading where you run your finger along and just absorb it, just following your finger and not even paying attention whether you are absorbing it or not? And it's pretty amazing. And I slammed through 200 pages speed reading, and I was amazed. When I read a couple of synopsises later and discussions of the book, it's like, yeah, I remember that. It was kind of weird. It's like why don't you read that way all the time? And it's like,
how
I mean, just running your finger along like you're practically Spock, in terms of like, but you're running it along within like, say under 2 lines, and then just going to the next 2 lines. And it's pretty amazing because just by following your
on an average book, I read about 100 pages an hour.
How many pages an hour? 60? What?
100.
100. You read 100 pages an hour. No, I don't do anything like that.
That's absolutely not speed.
Well, that's good. I mean,
that is my now. Yeah, that's. I mean, Yeah, that's my average reading speed.
Wow.
Has been for years since I was a kid.
Well, that's great.
But well, yeah. I mean,
My brain is not that spongy. Never has been. It doesn't hit data like that
well,
and keep it.
now that is a novel, not a comic book, or not but your average book. That's my speed, and it's just I read a lot as a kid. I
Mm-hmm.
just taught myself to read fast.
No, it's that's the ideal.
I don't put but oh yeah, my problem is I don't have time to read. But when I do, you know, I can usually truck through something pretty quick.
Even if it's
Anyway,
not particularly interesting to you, huh?
so yeah, oh yeah,
Well,
that
that is that's just a superpower there then. Because if you're able to read stuff that doesn't interest you that much, but still able to read it with a little bit of retention, God, that's what everybody needs to be able to do. You know, when you think about it, it's like, oh, I need to read about cascading style sheets. Just as something to throw out there. It's okay, now I'll read that and I will know.
I am not reading. I can tell you that right. I have no desire to build a web page.
Yeah.
I don't know what cascading style sheets are exactly, but I know they have something to do with Dreamweaver, and I ain't doing them. that's
Well,
what I know.
it's just how it's how things are typically. It's just the architecture of a web page that's typical nowadays. You know.
Oh yeah.
Boy, I tell you what. One thing
I mean, I work on my web page, and that's it.
One thing you'd get used to real quick, Scott, on on using Procreate is what they call smart shapes. You just hold the stylus down for a little bit of little extra time, and it turns into a nice smooth version of the line you're trying to produce, and it's really cool. Like this guy's shield back here, that was an ellipse I just drew real roughly, and held onto it, turned it into that nice ellipse.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm sitting there with pencil like a caveman drawing, but there's definitely some advantage to drawing stuff digitally.
Oh yeah.
I don't. The reason why I don't draw digital is because I don't want to. I mean, I sit in front of a computer all day.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, you use Illustrator a little too much for a guy that wants to acquire a love of something like digital painting.
Oh yeah, and I never have ever got the look I want. Okay, like I'll show you this. I mean, I drew this drawing of a Phantom lady, and I love the way that looks. That came out exactly how I wanted it to look. You know, I'm happy with the line weight, and I mean, to me, that's the look I'm going for.
Mm-hmm.
Never could do that digitally. Have never drawn stuff like this. It just I don't know why. It just seems.
Well, that's the challenge.
Something about it always. I don't know if it was. And it's like I don't like doing it digitally. And a lot of people go, "Oh, you can do it faster." I don't think that's absolutely true.
Well, yeah, and
it is if you use if you use the reuse backgrounds or use 3D, you know, you use
Mm-hmm.
SketchUp. But I mean, good grief, if that's what I want to do, I can print out a SketchUp and drop it under this and lightbox it. You
Yeah,
know, if that's
sure.
what
Yeah,
I
I
really
mean,
want to
yeah,
do.
you might say, oh, you're going slow by not by doing your own grids, but no, it's like on this. There's all sorts of
Well,
quick
it doesn't take
things
me.
I could be doing, but they're right in front of me. I don't mind that it takes me a second longer to get to them to use them as commands. It doesn't bug me.
Well, and I've used when I drew comics with Manga Studio. It had the grid. It had the way you would snap it, and I just end up doing, and I don't think it was any faster because you'd have to figure out how to look. You had to you have to build the grids, but you had to build the angles in there, which it was pretty quick. I mean, it's quicker drawing a grid, but you're not locked to the grid. And and I haven't used it in a while, but in Manga Studio to uh, to snap the grid, you would set up your vanishing points,
Yeah.
okay, and which you've never used Manga Studio, have you?
Yeah, I have. I have. I
You have
did that
not.
entire thing. I did with the fellow who used to put out the comic book we've both worked for locally, Oki Comics, who has a
Jeff Probine.
yes, Jeff Provine. I did an entire strip. It
Jeff
was only three or
Jeff
four pages
Probine.
long. Oh no, wait a second. It's about 6 or 8 pages.
Oh,
It was that one about the alien
yeah.
thing or demon. Yeah, that was all. And
Oh, yeah.
about that time, my Cintiq
Oh, that was
gave
all.
out, and then I gave up on Manga Studio because without the Cintiq, it didn't feel right.
Oh well, and I have a Intuos, and I have one of I use, and uh, an in a Wacom Intuos didn't have a Cintiq, but I've used Cintiqs, and I don't really care for them because of the fact you're not drawing. Even with that, you're not drawing on your line. You know what I'm saying?
What it's not,
There's like a
yeah,
little
it's
bit
not
of it. It
lined
just
up.
doesn't feel right.
It's not registered to
It's
where you're drawing.
incorrect.
Yeah, well, that is a thing
Yeah.
that you kind of have to forgive a little bit, I guess.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're going to use it, certainly.
Hmm.
Uh, but uh, I forgot where it's going. Anyway, I
Okay.
like drawing with a pencil.
Yeah, I do too.
I
But
mean,
I'm trying to get the
I
most
never
out
got
of
the
this.
look I wanted, and really the big, my big thing, and there was some, drawing in layers. That was pretty cool.
Hmm.
I'll admit that because I mean I use Illustrator all the time,
Yeah,
but
layers. You get real used to being able
I just
to.
I just never got the.
So I'm really enjoying
Oh
this
yeah.
thing that you kind of. I It took me a while to get around to it because I've had it for ages, and I think I copied the library's copy, and so I've got it somewhere. I'm not sure
Okay.
where, but the Jeeves and Wooster
Oh, good
on
for
YouTube. And
Jeeves.
man, I am digging those. I've only seen four, but they are so perfect. That Hugh Laurie and Fry, Stephen, I think it's Stephen Fry, are just so great.
Steve Bryan.
And last night I keep waiting for for the final inventory to be done on, because, P.G. Woodhouse did repeat himself on types of people you can expect him to, Wooster to be running into. And last night, I've named this one, that Blister,
Yeah.
because of one of the typical insults he would throw at kids that were just hitting puberty or whatever, boys. He was ready to throw them in the creek with rocks in their pockets, basically. Everyone he ever encounters in a story.
Oh, yeah.
And last night they had one example of that, where he had some kid that he just couldn't believe he was tied at the hip to. It was pretty good. And of course, like you said, the ants.
Yeah.
The ants are always good. They're evil.
Yeah, the ants. Yeah, we really like the Blandings. The Blandings, the other series, but we've been watching Jeeves, and I think Michelle's kind of warmed up to the Jeeves series now. And there's a Blandings movie available on YouTube. It's a little bit older. It's not quite as humorous as some of the other things that we've talked about. But yeah, we dig the Jeeves. We've been working our way through them. We're watching them on YouTube, so it's not quite as organized as some of the stuff.
Yeah.
Prime and some of that.
Yeah, I'm watching them on YouTube too. I was
a little more challenging.
I was surprised to find them complete. I assume they're complete. They're showing like six or so episodes per season. Does that sound right?
Yeah, there's not very many.
Yeah, there's not many of them. But I'm waiting in terms of like things I'm waiting for, because he's I know it's coming, and that's an encounter with swans. I'm just sure that eventually we will have an encounter with a very aggressive swan.
Oh, a swan.
Yes, okay. A swan.
Was that from the book?
Yeah. There's a couple of times where people have to deal with mean swans.
I have the book. I gave you that one book, and I have 2 copies of that. So I gave you one of my copies.
I read every inch of it.
P.G. Woodhouse, which, and I've started it, and I keep thinking I want to read it. And I've misplaced my copy around here somewhere, which is not surprising if you could see the state of my studio, but around there somewhere. But so I've listened to the audiobooks, and I can't get into. I don't know, man.
Well, the audiobooks are very dependent on the actor that's doing the work.
Yeah, that may be part of my problem. I don't know.
Let's see if I want to flatten this and colorize it.
On the story I'm drawing, I asked the publisher or the writer or the editor. I don't know what he is exactly. Anyway, I asked the guy that sent me the script. I said there wasn't really there were some indications of, it takes place in this town, but it doesn't really. There's some stuff, but it doesn't really say what city it takes place in. I said, but I assumed it's just some generic like Midwestern city. He's like, oh yeah, that'll work. And so I think I'm gonna set it in Oklahoma City.
There you go.
Even though there's part of what?
Yeah, there you go.
Well, some of it takes place at a war. Yeah, so I'll have to fudge that. But it's not. It's just a warehouse, so it could be anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, and I'm gonna set it. He doesn't know this, but I'm gonna set it in 80s architecture, kind of Midwestern 80s bank architecture.
Bank architecture?
Sure, why not, right? Anyway, I downloaded a picture of a bank, but I'm not going to use it. I'm just going to make something up.
So I wanted to show this off. Anybody that catches up to this eventually, I wanted to show. I've had a couple of explorations, and I've watched this guy named Boradante talk about all the stuff he went through to get the perfect stand for his iPad. Look how simple this thing is. This is this little stand is just something to lean it against, and it flattens out like that. It's just got this bolt that's under tension, whatever. It's always tight. See that thing right there? Just this.
Michelle bought me something similar to that. It's not round though.
It's pretty dang cool. It's simple. It's perfect for holding your iPad up while you draw at any angle you want to. And it's just got a little stop on it, and kapow! It's just what I need. Might be just what you need if you've stumbled into this podcast here, where we get typically 13 views. You may be one of the lucky 13 that now know some knowledge that you wouldn't have otherwise.
Yeah. Lucky 13. 13 people watch. It's our typical number, isn't it?
Well, I've gotten these things where I do have a drawing or something. I'll get an unexpected amount of views for, where if I go the trouble of doing something besides live streaming, I'll get numbers. Maybe only about twice the amount that I might get for this live streaming stuff. Saying, you finally did something interesting, huh? Okay, I'll watch it.
Entertain me.
What's that?
Yeah.
No, I'm saying no. I'm not knocking you. I'm not knocking you. I'm knocking the concept of live streaming in general. Yeah, most of them are pretty.
Oh yeah.
Pretty cringe in terms of like saying, boy, these guys. I'm trying to think of somebody that is a pretty good raconteur when they're on. You're no Zippy the unicorn.
Zippy the pinhead.
Yeah, Zippy. Yeah, you're more like Zippy the pinhead.
I was watching a live stream. It wasn't a live stream. I was watching a gaming stream the other day, and that guy had 12 million subscribers. That's just
sweet money is all that is. Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is the guy that bought the Lamborghini.
Oh, that guy.
About. One of his YouTube videos was him buying a Lamborghini.
That's pretty awesome. Well, it just shows you, though. I mean, anybody that has got something that touches that thing of appeal beyond, some big audience thing. I mean, it's just money in the bank if you follow through with it. But I'm so age specific. I'm trying to think of what the most boomer-esque thing I could do that would actually draw a crowd.
This guy, his thing is he's not a young guy, and he does video game things, and I've watched some of his live streams, and people ask him questions, and I forget there was one time, and somebody asked him if he was like 20, and he laughed and said, "No, I'm a lot older than 20." you know,
Mm-hmm.
he's in his 30s or 40s, even 40, but he's got his niche, and it works for him,
Mm-hmm.
and he's mildly. You know. But yeah, it is kind of funny. I got kind of I don't want to say aggravated, but Amazon had a thing, and it was like, here's some favorite things from some influencers, and they posted stuff, and I was just like, I don't. It's like these people like this product. I didn't look and see what they were, and I don't know who any of the influencers were. But it's like these people have big social media followings, and so they're now become advertisers, which I get them selling advertising, but now they themselves basically become the product. In the like, hey, this is what you should buy on it. We like 50-foot garden hose. This is what you should buy or
Yeah.
something.
Well,
And it just seems weird to me because, like, why would I buy something that line?
Natasha International is one of the lucky
I didn't
13.
look, so I
She
don't know
wants
what
to
they were.
know.
Now, if it may be like,
Natasha International wants to know, where'd you get that stand, Ellis?
oh,
I'll include it in the links later. I'll look up my Amazon past history and give you a link, Natasha. I'll write a note to myself.
so the short answer is Amazon.
Yes, yeah, it is Amazon.
A quick answer,
Short answer, Amazon.
but you can post. Yeah, Michelle bought one not too long ago. It was real similar to that, but it wasn't round. It was just kind of U-shaped on the bottom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm surprised. It holds up nicely.
Is that aluminum?
What's that? I assume it feels like it might be aluminum. It's not heavy particularly.
Yeah, that's what mine's aluminum. And it's not heavy, like it'll support a lot of weight. I mean, it's strong, but if you get it, it won't. The weight won't. It works on balancing the iPad on it.
Right, like and it's like you would think, like, okay,
being round,
it's like, okay, is it going to wobble across this? And it's got that little bit of rubber, and I don't know, it's just perfect. It just sits right there. It lets me put my fingers on it and do this kind of stuff, and it's perfect for drawing with. Picked up the wrong thing. I just don't.
Because if you draw with it, you're putting pressure on it.
Yeah. And so my other thing, since you're 100-page an hour guy, you have probably read Anthym by Ayn Rand, or have you?
Yep. Long time ago.
I figured you had. Yeah, that's when people read it, huh? I had this real good friend that was one of these guys. I think I've talked to you before about him. He was a guy that was into comic books back when I was into comic books, and he bought the Jim Steranko History of Comics, and I just thought that was the coolest thing. I think he was the guy that first got me into the notion of any sort of mail order for getting a product to arrive. And I said, wow, cool. And then it wasn't too much longer after that I got my subscription to Wit's End. And so all those arrived in the mail for me.
Oh.
And Scott was a guy in 7th grade walking around with Ayn Rand's Anthym. So he was, like I say, if you're dumb, it's kind of like hard for me to be around you. You can't be too dumb, I've got to have. I mean, it's not like I'm a genius for for sure. But I'm just not ready to talk to somebody that doesn't talk about something besides the Sooners, you know,
Yeah.
or the Thunder.
Well, a friend of mine I was talking to Sunday, and we were talking about marrying because I have several of my employees that are single, and we'll talk about meeting and occasionally I'll give advice like, well, if you're going to marry a girl, make sure this. And one of the things I've told him is, I told one guy in particular is like, man, if you're going to marry a girl, make sure she's got something going on between her ears.
Yeah.
She's got to have a brain. I said, you'll be miserable forever if you don't. I don't care what she looks like or whatever. It's like, man. And I was telling that to a guy at church, excuse me, and he said, Ron White, the comedian, says, how do you, he said, if you marry a girl and she's good looking, then, she gets older, everything's going to kind of move around and she may not look good, or if she's kind of ugly when you marry her, maybe you can get her, some surgery, kind of fix things up. But he said, you can't fix stupid.
Yeah.
Which which cracked me up to no end because it's like, well, that's true. It's I don't know. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. You get around people that are just really, have
Just a little too dumb. Yeah.
I don't like being around. Yeah, well, you just kind of like, okay. But then again, I'm sure there are people around me that are like, okay, this guy, what's wrong with him?
Yeah, no. No, I'm willing to accept. I mean, for one thing, I talk slow. I never will forget that doggone, what's his name? He's a big deal in the comics gate. His name is Malin. And he's a good artist in that image kind of style look of that particular era, that hot era when the image was just starting up. And, it's still a style that's around. But yeah, one time I was making some sort of point on one of those drawn and quartered, and all of a sudden he just broke in with, "You talk too slow." And that was kind of the end of my little input into the thing for that moment. At any rate, I said, okay, you've got the floor again, whatever. And he's right. He's a guy that was at that point,
Yeah.
he'd done he had done 8,000 things, and here I was, a newbie, thinking I was not understanding I needed an audience to follow what we're up to. And basically he was just coming in saying, let's get this show picked back up again.
Oh, yeah. Still, it sounds kind of like a dick thing to say, though.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, yeah. Well, if there's anybody that doesn't mind being a dick, it's any of those guys in the comics gate people. They that's kind of their, what do you call it? I'll think of it in my slow way eventually. Oops.
Comic gate.
Yeah, it's their thing, being dicks. It's that sort of abrasiveness. That sort of abrasiveness is like I talk about in story. You need conflict, and so and everybody does it. It's like you wander in and you say, "What are you up to, you Blister?" I wish I'm going to make. I need a list of all the fun little insults of the typical PG Woodhouse thing. A blister is one of his favorite.
That'd be a long list.
Yeah, it would be. But they're always kind of cute and not really devastating little insults. They're kind of fun.
you can get away if you got it the right kind of delivery. You can get away with a lot, but it's the like when I was locking up the building at work, the department next to me, it's all males, or at least it was all males that were in there. You know, I stick my head in, and I would all the time my lungs, hey ladies, it's to go, you know, and they'd all immediately just get kind of riled, and then they'd kind of laugh, you know. Um, so I don't think they were too mad, but you know.
See, Anthym, Midnight.
Ellis,
Midnight. Go ahead.
next Wednesday is the day before Thanksgiving, which means I'm working half the day. I don't know if you'll meet me downtown or not.
Wednesday?
I think I'm gonna go downtown after I get off work. Next a week from yesterday.
Okay.
I'll shoot you an email.
All right.
And if you want to, you know, a lot depends on the weather, of course.
Oh yeah, it's going to be. Of course, I dig this cool weather. For one thing, it kills a lot of the vermin that I live around with. With the, my flea problem is gone, but I had that cured while it was still hot enough to have them. I dosed the cat and did a couple other things with some poison that finally got them under control. Fleas, of course, that's how the Black Plague. That's how the Black Plague got all those people, killed them. Of course, they were coming off rats, but
right. Not house cats or stray cats. In your case, quasi house cats. The only thing worse than is it if you get ticks in your house.
Oh God.
Well,
ticks.
They won't infest though like fleas, but occasionally the dog will bring in a tick.
Yeah.
And I pulled them off me, and I heard so like immediately recoil. Anything in blood just recoil. Ooh.
Well, I spent a lot of my childhood in Arkansas, running around in wooded areas, and let me tell you, I came back with ticks, and the horrifying thing is to brush up against something, look down because you can feel the ticklish sensation, and realize you brushed up against a huge group of seed ticks. These little, almost you can't even hardly see them. They're so small, and they're just swarming up your pant leg, and it's like, oh my God, I got to deal with these now. Yeah, well, yeah, and it's weird because they never talked about anything like Lyme disease when I was growing up in the 50s and 60s, going to Arkansas regularly. And of course, that Lyme disease just practically destroys people in terms of like, Flea had it, and one of the, what was she in, Riot Girls or something? She had it. And it really wastes you, man. You don't want that Lyme disease.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. One of my nephews had Lyme disease. Or maybe had Spotty Rock, whatever. Rocky Mountain
I think they're a lot alike. I think it's almost the same thing, isn't it? I don't know. I'll have to look that up.
Maybe.
I don't know if it's a synonym or not. Rocky Mountain spotted fever and Lyme disease. We'll have to look that up. Well, let's see what happens when I shift this. Curves. Let's try that. I think this guy needs to be red. Didn't get much red out of that. I must be working up on a layer that's not got anything on it. Let's try that again. Yeah, that's what I was doing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's no good.
Yeah. There we go.
Okay. I think I got my bank roughed in good enough.
Cool. Let's have a look at it. I'll make you big here. Here we go. I'll solo on you. See what you got up to.
Make me big.
There you go. Oh, look at that. I like those figures on the right. Those are great. Yeah. No, that's looking good.
Oh, yeah.
I like that depth of field on the looking down on that. No, that's cool.
In the script, it just said they're kind of standing there. Well, they were leaving the bank. Well, I kind of wanted to draw them like running and waving guns around and stuff, you know. And I went with kind of a 70s kind of bank. Not done, obviously. Well, I got a sign here. I'm gonna call it Prosperity Bank. There's a bank here in the city called Prosperity Bank. I've told my wife, if we ever switch banks, we're switching to that one. They got the right idea.
They got the right idea. Yeah.
And here he's looking, and there are gonna be people laying on the ground, and the robber's gonna be there. There's gonna be somebody kind of cowering, and then I'm gonna draw this to kind of match this. And I'm gonna draw you can't see it, but I'm gonna draw this guy over here. This is Daredevil, the Golden Age Daredevil, and they're gonna be running out of the bank, and then she shows up, and she's gonna zap him with her.
And that's the dark gal we were talking about. Oh yeah, you got the boobs right. You might lighten up the line on the boobs and have them start higher.
Which line?
And that line, the whatchamacallit, the cleavage, have them start higher and collide higher, and then go down in a straight line, and that'll be flesh bumping against flesh in terms of what the line depicts.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't just have them. You've got her with implants there, but if you'll have a straight line between the boobs for just a little bit, and then start and maybe just draw one line for the cleavage. Figure out which side is the side that I would say it'd be the one on the left. Just draw one. Right there. No, you still draw. More like that. Yeah, a little more like that, to where it looks like there's a collision of skin. Yeah.
I got you.
There you go. That's better.
Separate. I drew them two outside.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Very nice. Hey, and you might see if you were doing this digital. If you were doing this digitally, you could flip it left, right, and you would notice that her eye, it would be her left eye, and it's on our right. It's totally offline from the eye on the other side. So you might need to draw that over.
Oh, really?
Again. Yeah, I mean, look at it.
Okay.
Put your straight edge on the pupil of the eye on the and look across. Yeah. There you go. There's your mirror.
Oh, yeah.
You see what I'm talking about? The eyes aren't even. Hey, I see you.
Yeah. Yep. It's a little low, isn't it? Or wait.
Yeah, it's a little low.
Yeah, I think they're high.
I mean, it's not It's not 3/4 to where you're getting away with having it. Yeah, there you go. That looks better in reflection.
Yeah, I think the
Natasha International wants to know before we go. I did a recent challenge of drawing one of my characters in 8 different styles. You all ever tried that? Like Tex Avery or Disney style. Yeah, that is a really good idea. For one thing, to make a list of what is involved in a style, to make a Bible
yeah.
of what is like. Do the style you're working in, does it have like squared off fingertips, or do they always come to points? Or if you're doing like Lilo and Stitch style, do all the girls have big ankles that it still somehow remain kind of really curvy? He draws these strangely big ankled girls that just seem really appealing. And you could make a list of all the really cool things that particular artist does, whose name escapes me right now. But he's a great stylist.
Oh,
He also got in trouble for liking girls too young. What's that?
Oh, John K.
No. It's
John
another
K.
guy. No. I'll tell you. I'll look up Lilo and Stitch.
Oh, there's more than. Oh, that guy. That's is it Chris?
Yeah,
Saunders?
Chris Sanders. Yeah, Sanders. It's not got a U in it, so I assume it's Sanders. Yeah. Yeah, he liked young girls.
So I purposely don't do this kind of thing because I've struggled with style forever.
Mm-hmm.
But just because I don't know. I got to keep that on track. But it's a good idea, I think. I just don't do it. Ellis showed me a thing that Doug Temple had done where he drew a character, the same scene with like 9 different styles on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
And I always thought that was cool.
Yeah, I mean, one of the style things is how you render your hatching, and yeah.
So what I did a few years ago was I took a little bit of time off work. I took a week off work, and I just spent the whole time drawing. And one of the first things I did was I made some notes about what constituted Marvel Comics style. And I'm not going to go through all these, but I'll share some of them.
Cool.
And I based it on a couple artists that were really hot at the time. And one of them was parallel lines to form soft edges, shadows. So it basically feathering out of the shadow. Strong uniform outlines of the form. Interior loft edges. Strong hands clutch and splayed. So in other words, the hands had a real form to them, and they tended to be like this or like this. Either a splayed out or a claw. Idolized faces. Simple figure, strong gestures, kind of streamlined, a solid skull shape. Detail tends to be grouped, just stuff like that. I don't go through them because you have to kind of find them yourself, and it depends on what you're trying to do. But what Ellis said, what I found helpful was to analyze it. When I was taking classes through the comics experience, what Robert Atkins told us, or what he did, is he would go online and collect artwork. And I do this, collect artwork from creators that he likes. Now, what he was doing was trying to find who was hot at different companies and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So he was always looking for new people, and he would get their stuff, and he had a file basically of, multiple on his computer, multiple versions, multiple pieces of art that some of these hot current creators had done, and what they kind of break that guy did. But he would kind of look at it and be like, okay, this is what people are doing, and this is what they're seeing. some of that can get a little mechanical, and you get a little too. Um, that's another reason why I don't do it. I just kind of draw, and I kind of in my head I try and think about what I like,
Mm-hmm.
and 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 I've done a lot of this over the years. But I think about like artists I like, and I try and figure out what do I like about them, what do I not like about them,
Mm-hmm.
and there's no one artist that I would say draws exactly like I want to draw. Even some of my favorites, there's stuff they draw and I don't like the way they draw it.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
the same way. I'm the same way.
and so I kind of work. Yeah, I kind of work through some of that, and um, then I just try and draw. I try and think about what I want my art to look like, and that's what I draw when I'm drawing the page, and hopefully it all matches up when I'm done. you know.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's kind of my thoughts on style and exploring style and that sort of thing. The different drawing one character in different styles is probably a good idea. I've never done it because I'm too lazy, but
Well, yeah, and if you want to have a semi-profession at being a character designer, and Steven Silver, who is a huge artist, he just started out wanting to be a great caricature artist that is practically twisting balloons at a party in terms of like uh, ambitions, but that grounding
yeah,
of studying caricature and studying a hero like Mort Drucker gave him all the tools that just took him right into animation and becoming a character designer. And I was surprised to learn that it seems like to me one of the most plum things to be doing is character design, but that's considered almost like in animation, almost like you could be entry level and be doing the character design. There's enough of that they just thrust you into that role, which I think it's probably the most creative thing. And if you don't get those characters right, but you can just look at cartoons and realize, well, they could have improved those characters. I mean, they
yeah,
aren't very appealing. So there is some of that probably going on, and it's like but then you see something like SpongeBob, and it's like, oh man, that is so designed down to a T in terms of like the universe building and you know the shapes that they use for all the characters. It's just great. And that's the deal. You can't have something jar you, and that's what Crick Falusi was all about. He said rules. Who needs rules? In a couple of cases, obviously, he's a big rules guy in terms of like his little university. If you've ever seen it, his old Blogspot is really truly a university in learning for drawing and cartooning. I'll leave that link below too. I'll write that down as a note that I'll link to John Kay's site. But his show Ren and Stimpy was good about going off model. He would typically say, "Yeah, who needs this rule? This guy's not going to look the same every time because I don't want him to look the same every time."
Well, but they did.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they made them distorted
They
and
altered. They were.
I think you're getting low battery, Scott. You want to bail?
Oh, wait.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to have to listen to this again, see if you were if you came through or if you were as bad as what I was hearing. You may be really disappointed if you listen to it yourself and and find all the breakup you were doing. I didn't want to slow you down though and make you change out your whatever your equipment. Okay, you ready to quit?
Well, that's fine. Like,
yeah, I didn't get any of that. You ready to quit?
Okay.
I can hear you now.
Can you hear me now? Yes.
All right. Thumbs up.
Okay, yeah, let's go.
Okay, we'll quit. Ending broadcast now.